Alright, y'all, it's your boy Carcino right here. Strap it in, because now y'all finna know the whole truth behind the Murder INC. The original Murder INC concept. Ja Rule versus Jay-Z and DMX. Live right here. What caused the problems? What caused the beef? The whole nine. Now, starting out, I have no idea why this thing keeps jumping, but let's start it from the beginning. Okay, you got Ja Rule. He was with the Cash Money. Hopefully that stops everything. Alright, I was tired of it doing that. But Ja Rule was with the Cash Money. What's that? The Cash Money Brothers or whatever they called. And he had another contract deal with two other dudes, you know. And Ja Rule had a record deal with him, but he still owed them an album when he left. That was part of his release deal. Because Irv Gotti got with him and was like, look, Chris and Urban Lorenzo got with him, and the Cash Money clique they had, and he told them, like, look, we can move you from this, you know, get you with the right people. And Mike Geronimo and a couple other dudes knew Ja through Irv. Irv is a producer. Irv and Chris, who's in the business, getting it done, working behind the scenes, you know, making hits with track masters and everybody else. So Mike Geronimo had a joint called Time to Build that he was working on, which had Jay-Z and DMX on there. And like back in that time, he had Ja Rule get on that track. So it was Ja Rule, DMX, and Jay-Z and Mike. It was Mike Geronimo's song. But that's like when they first started getting bonded and close together. And Irv was working with X and trying to help X get a deal with Def Jam. And so Irv got DMX a deal, and he got what's his name a deal? Ja Rule. Now Jay-Z didn't have a deal with Def Jam. Jay-Z, Rockefeller Records had a deal with Def Jam, with Jay-Z being an artist of Rockefeller Records. So his deal wasn't as an artist. It was basically he was being loaned as a partnership, like third party, like they're the distributors. And whatever work Rockefeller Records produce, they get paid a certain amount of money. And if they exceed that money or pay whatever they pay on their own, and they do, it's basically comped and re-upped by Def Jam, reimbursed rather. So they'll get a budget. If Rockefeller paid out their own pockets to do it, Def Jam has to come with their end of the bargain. They still got to pay for it. And that's why you saw a lot of Rockefeller Records come out back to back to back. You're like, man, Jay-Z don't give nobody time to breathe. They had to, so that they can reach their agreement with Def Jam quickly, so they could re-up and re-sign the contract. And it was a long-term deal, which was really not a good deal for them to sign. But when they signed it, it was good for the record label at the time they signed it. But in the long run, with Jay-Z's success, it really wasn't a good deal for them in the end. I mean, when they got to the money, and that was at the end of, after Blueprint 1, they finally hit their mark, and they had to re-sign Rockefeller Records. And when they did, they had to pay through the roof, and everybody was like multi-rich at that time. They finally got the big money. But I'll fast forward up there to bring you all the way back, to let you know that's how it started, and that's the structure of the deals, because it's important to what's going to happen in the story. Now, when Ja and As soon as they got started, Irv had a plan. Like, I gotta get these dudes, you know, on the same path. And at this point, Jay-Z ain't blew up yet. Okay, he ain't blown up to what everybody's thinking. DMX is getting ready to come out to be like one of the biggest things in the world. And X hit and blew up like nobody's business. You know, when DMX hit, he hit hard. And it blew everybody away. And X was the best thing on the planet at the time. So when DMX is ripping it, everybody's like glued into what X is. So everybody else thing was put on the burner. Now, DMX is just ripping with a couple of his singles out. Jay-Z is basically on This Is My Last Album. Ja Rule is on I'm Just Trying to Get My Career Started. Just got to deal with Def Jam. And that was basically negotiated and signed because he was on the tour with Jay-Z and getting himself known out there because he was ripping on the track with Jay. And they liked his energy. But the song that made Jay-Z famous, the Can I Get a what, was Ja Rule's song. The track, the beat, everything was Ja. Ja was actually writing verses for the album. He already had a verse. And he said, you know what? And he was like, man, Jay was like, man, that hook is tight. You know, and he was like, man, that beat is tight, man, I want to get on that song. So that's why Ja had a verse on it, because it was Ja's song. And Jay heard that track and was like, man, and that hook, Ja wrote it. Can I get a you for my bitches and all the bitches who don't love dough? No dough, can I get a... You know, that's Ja's hook. Ja wrote it. So he gave it to Jay and said, yeah, go ahead. He gave that hook to Jay, gave the song to Jay-Z, gave him the beat, you know, because Irv was like, man, Jay really want this track. You know, like, he really want to get on this track, man. He's like, you know what? He gonna let you blow up on the track, you know, so this will give you some shine going into your album. They never knew that this song was gonna become as big as what it was. And based off that, it strengthened the bond between Irv and Jay-Z. And DMX and Jay wasn't really cool. They battled each other back then, but they didn't really like each other. They was like more oil and vinegar. Each one thought one was better than the other one. You know, they be like, yo, Jigga, my dude. It was more of a business with them. Jay felt like X is, you know, he alright, he cool for the streets. And X looked at Jay as he think he too sadiddy. You know, he nice with it, but he ain't as good as he think he is. You know, but he ain't really had nothing to really want to do with Jay. You know, he want to do his own thing. You know, X want to do his thing. So when Ja finally comes out with his album, that Veni Vedi Veci album came out, and he had Holla Holla on there, and it, you know, he sold 1 million records. He became his own identity then. He went into immediately working on his second album. And when everybody trying to say, oh, he trying to be like Tupac, and oh, he trying to pocket out, look at him, he trying to be Pac, and that was getting to Ja on his first album, because he had people hating on him, like, oh, he think he Pac, he trying to be like Pac. And DMX is smashing at this point. Jay-Z is at a record high, and with that came massive ego. You know, I'm so busy, I'm working on this project now. You know, DMX come out, sell 4 million records on the first album, then he sells another 3 million in like 2 weeks. The craziest release for an artist ever. And Jay just got his album smashing, and they're already working on the album Volume 3 and putting out Memphis Bleak records. So they working. But they also becoming more arrogant. in the process. And Ja's like, you know, I got my album coming out. He's trying to get, you know, like, let me get my brothers on here, you know, because they recorded some songs together back in the day when they were supposed to come out with the group Murder Inc. And they was on the XXL cover. It was gonna be Ja, Jay-Z, and X. And everybody was cool with doing that album. Like, man, we put this album out, dude, this gonna be massive. Massive album. But everybody had their own agenda as to, yeah, the album was cool, but once they was like, well, I kind of don't need them. You know, X is like, I don't need Jay or him. Why am I splitting the money like this? You know, like, we splitting the money 3 ways when I'm the star. Every guy thought they were the star except for Ja. Ja's like, look, y'all bigger than me. But it ain't about that. This is going to be better for hip-hop. But they looking like, okay, so we basically developing Ja. And Ja was like, I got a platinum album. I got my own buzz. You know, like, this is just going to be for hip-hop. But ego gets into the way. So when Rule comes out with 336, before it even came out, he had the single out, Between Me and You, which is kind of high, Christina Milian. That wasn't the joint. It was the second single that came out that put it on me, with Vita and Little Mo. And you see that went to heavy rotation. Then you see Ja Rule with like a mini fro. And it's like, what? He got a fro? You know, he wanted to try to break away from the I'm Tupac, or I'm trying to be Tupac. So he went in with a mini fro. You know, it's like, Ja got a fro now? You know, he was trying to do a whole different look than what they was trying to put on him. And it was more laid back. Where the first album was just really hard and party hits, but it was rough. This was more like laid back, R&B, radio friendly. And with that song, Rule 336 put Ja Rule like way on the map. And when I mean way on the map, I mean way on the map. I mean, he debuted #1 on Billboard 200. And when the album dropped, like, everybody had Rule 336. And when that came out and he got to that point, there was an interview he did with The Source. And when he put on blast, basically, Jay-Z, and stated that I get more money for my, you know, my performances. I get paid more than Jay-Z from Rockefeller Records, and was basically talking about how they turned on him, you know, when it was time to do the album, and how they basically turned against Chris Lightly. I mean, not Chris Lightly, but Irv Gotti, Irv and Chris. And was like, they basically told him, like, Irv and them, like, yeah, you know, we gonna do this, we gonna do that, and they never did. They never could come to the table, but they kept making promises and shouting out Murder Inc., but they wouldn't do a song with Ja. They wouldn't do anything to help Irv thing, you know. And Irv and them, they did it on their own. It's like, man, we did it without X, we did it without Jay. You know, they didn't want to be a part of it, but Ja stuck with me and we did it. You know, so that's why they had like a me against the world type attitude, like feel about it. Because they did it on their own. And they felt a certain kind of way. Like Irv felt that he felt more betrayed than anybody. But Ja was basically speaking out because Irv was his guy. So what Ja was saying was, yeah, I get more paper, you know, I'm getting more money than Jay-Z, you know, for my songs, you know, for what I'm doing. And because of the deal I got with Def Jam, because Irv helped get me that deal, you know, like, he's basically boasting. And then I gave Jay-Z his hit song, Can I Get a What? So Jay felt a certain way about it. And X was feeling like he got this guy that's named Bizarre Royale and a couple other dudes that's in his crew that they just, you know, they the sidekick guys. The guys he got high with. The guy that just gonna carry the bags. They was just haters. They didn't, a lot of his guys didn't like Ja Rule, period. Once Ja Rule started, they didn't care when Ja was on the tour and wasn't really affiliated or just doing some hooks on the song. But once Ja became his own man and he's up there at the top and he's selling just as many records as X, now it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this dude trying to be like you, X. And X is on the pipe and he all hyped out. He really believing that Ja Rule trying to be him. And he just created that on his own. And every album he's been doing, he's dissing Ja Rule. And his third album was all dedicated to hating on Ja Rule. And then there was X, was nothing but I hate you, Ja Rule. Like every song in there he's talking about is about Ja Rule. You whack, you twisted, your girls, you broke, kid ain't yours, and everybody know your old man say you stupid. I love my baby mama, I never let her go. He's talking about Ja Rule. And then he actually put Jay-Z in the video. Look at these off-brand niggas rapping, yapping about, talking about they be holding figures as big as Jigga. That's that bull, man. And got Jay in the video too, you know, to let them know, like, yeah, we heard you, you know. So when they came out with the Murderers INC after the Pain Is Love album comes out and just smash. Ja's next record, the very following year, with Live It Up on there. He had Always on Time, which was like the first time it was in Billboard. It was Hot 100. The I'm Real, man, he sold 4 million records easy with Pain Is Love. Over 4 million records sold. And then after that, you had more issues because he dropped the Murderers album. And when the Murderers album came out, like right after that, the Murder INC, they had the Murderers. It was Ja Rule and all his other guys, Black Child, Cadillac Ty, and all them. That was supposed to be the album Jay-Z was on, and Jay was supposed to put a song on there. And I think X sent the song to Irv, because Irv and X was still cool, you know, like family cool. Even though he was taking shots at Ja, and they taking, you know, and they was keeping it quiet. You know, he's like, man, look, he's not trying to be like you, dude. No, he is. And now he talking about Jigga like that, man. But X didn't really care because he didn't really like Jay no way. He never really did. He helped Jay get popular too, because everybody liked X song on that album, on the song that, on that album that he did. Jay-Z on that album, Volume 2, besides Hard Knock Life, that was probably the only song he did by himself. He did probably one more song by himself. Everything else was a collaboration, and the more popular street songs was X. Money can't hold what? Money can't hold, money can't hold. And the Can I Get a what? All the anthems that the streets love. Ja Rule was on it. DMX was on it. So they felt they kind of built his brand anyway, but Ja was the problem. So when this album came out, The Murderers, and it got Ja on there, it didn't take off well. It was like basically no real commercial song on there. Everything was rugged. So the album went gold, but that's not the expectations they were looking for when they dropped the Murderers album. So when the Murderers album come out and the song We Murderers, Ja responds back to the video with X talking about some, look, he clocking more figures as big as Jigga. And that's why Ja backs up his statement on there. I still get more paper than Jigga for my use. He states that in his line on that song We Murderers. And Lord knows, y'all pussies ain't gonna stop my vote. I don't love you hoes, I'm out the dope. And once he said that, he was talking to Jay, and he was talking to X. Now at this point, relationships have been tainted. Like, everybody playing cool. Like, Ja saw Jay, you know, because they cool with Irv and Murder INC, everything ain't been really like, we gonna go in the room and squash it out. Everybody just ignore it. Like, Jay he showed up at Ja Rule's house. When Ja got his new house by the lake, Jay was there, you know, showed up, made his appearance. X didn't show, but Jay showed up for a little bit, you know, but Ja was his own man. You know, he was on top of the world. Couldn't tell him nothing. So, while he was feeling himself, and he was selling all these records, Jay-Z had just got this monster contract with Def Jam when they re-signed and re-upped. And while he was feeling himself, he was out in LA and taking a vacation, because he finally, Blueprint was the last album they had under the old contract. So once that was there, they was re-upping all the money from Blueprint. They were in a great financial space, so they were free to do whatever. Now it's like, dude, we here. So, you know, he was ready to do his thing. Jay was ready to get out there and let it be known that, you know, I'm the big time. I got money now. I really got money. I'm a multi-millionaire, and this is it. So he comes out with this song, and it's a freestyle, and it's about Ja Rule. All these rap dudes claiming they singers, doing all sorts of twisted things with their fingers. Ja Rule them used to throw up that Murder INC sign. Disrespecting the game, home training and manners. I was doing this when you was in the Pampers. I was moving them grams before you knew what a hand-to-hand was, ducking the vans, radars, and scanners before you knew what hard white or tan was. I was in the turnpikes, I hiked with the hammers. Man, I had it laid out for you know what a plan was. 300 mil later, now you understand this. Y'all ain't see us coming through Vegas. You ever seen so many grams busting one night, girls? Like, I was on a Peter Pan bus when you was putting Peter Pan up in your room. Now y'all messing with whom? Allow me to retort. You cowards is just not learning the shit that we taught. What the you know about a ride report, about a high-speed Porsche, i.e. y'all didn't know how the floors through. I came through the door like Eric B. Repairs. Respect me in this bit. Can't disrespect us because you got a little check cut. You been sucking so long it's messing your little neck up. Now you're too big for your britches. You popped a few little bitches. You think you me, but you just ridiculous. Man. And I'm quite sure you know exactly now who he was talking about. So once that was said, feelings was back, you know, the way it was. Because here comes DMX on his last album, the Great Depression, when he was talking about never train a mole. Thou shall not train a mole. Thou shall ride off the blue. Three niggas. He's like, what do you say? He said, 4 months, 3 niggas, 4 months to go. Come on, S.A. Keep it real, Holmes. You messing with the dog. You should already know. So he's basically bragging about never training a guy like he trained Ja Rule to do what he do, and like trying to be him. That whole album was basically shots at people. Thought he was coming at Jay-Z, but he really wasn't touching Jay, but it could have been Jay too. But all his shots he was throwing has always been at Ja Rule. Don't ever think like, man, maybe he was touching Jay. Jay wasn't really nothing for him. When he was talking about I only gave you the crowd so I could shoot it up and fucking dead. You niggas are fucking dead. You on the fucking dead. He be talking about Ja Rule all the time. And Ja was never mentioning him in songs or nothing. That's why he was like, dude, I'm not even mentioning this guy in records, out of respect for Irv. Irv's like, man, just don't do it. Because, X ain't gonna quit. So out of respect for him, he wouldn't even respond back. And this guy is basically dissing him on record. On every song. So it was a bit of a problem. The only time he really had a major problem with Jay-Z is when Jay lied to him and told him, man, come to the office, we're gonna help you out with your album, and Jay didn't even show up. Just totally did X wrong. But besides all that, when the Jay-Z and Nas battle happened and went down, and the way Ether came out and the way Jay lost, and yes, Jay-Z fans, he lost. When Jay-Z knows he's lost, why would you even contest that he won? Hip-hop battles is not won by money. If that's the case, MC Hammer beat everybody. Hammer had the most money. So I guess he did it. I mean, Eminem has like the most money. So, he sold way more records than Nas. Okay, MC Hammer sold way more records than Jay-Z. Is he better rapper than Jay-Z? No, you wouldn't say that, would you? No, you wouldn't. So why would you use it to try to say he's the best over Nas? I understand you're a fan. It's okay. I'm a fan of Jay music too. I bought it just like y'all bought it. I bought Nas just like everybody else bought Nas. But people know. It's not like, man, it's Jay or nothing. Everybody knew he lost. So it's not me just hating on Jay or one side is biased. No, the truth is one way. People's like, man, you gotta look at things both ways. The truth is one way, brother. It's one way. The truth is just what it is. It ain't trying to say, okay, we're gonna say something about him, say something about him. Truth is just one way. Either you conform to it or you don't. Now, when that happened, and everybody was finna come back on Jay, they was trying to get Vita off the ground. So Vita had a song that she did with Mobb Deep, and Jay-Z was like, man, don't let Vita be on that video, cause Prodigy riding on me like he is. If y'all let her get in that video, man, I'm done with I Murder INC. So they pull Vita off the video, so she can't be in the Burn video. When she trying to put her solo joint out, she needed that appearance. That was gonna be a major appearance for her. So they thinking Jay gonna do something with Vita, and do something with INC, and he ain't. He ain't do none of the stuff he was supposed to do. And so they was like, man, here it is again. This dude he didn't step up to the plate again. So all of a sudden, here comes Nas. Nas is the biggest thing on earth at the time after Ether, and they coming with The Pledge, with Tupac's beat Shed So Many Tears. So Ja Rule, and here come Nas, and they rhyming to this beat. and then they got a video, The Pledge, and it's Nas finna sign with Murder Inc. And once he did that, they thought they was finna have Nas, because Nas was talking about it. But what Nas did was play them against Jay, because he knew Jay and Irv was tight. So when they reached out to him to do the joint, Nas is like, this is another blow I could strike at Jay, and it's gonna hit him in the heart. So Irv didn't realize he was being played. Irv was so happy, like, man, this is a good look, man. We gonna have Nas with us, man. We finna blow now, like we finna take off. This gonna be big for Murder Inc. We signed Nas, oh man, it's gonna be huge. And then off the battle with Jay, you know, he didn't look at it from the whole spectrum of, man, yeah, we probably shouldn't have did that song, because that murdered all relationships with Jay-Z. But Jay wasn't really doing nothing with him anyway. But now it was official. He really wasn't going to do nothing. And then, in the end, they got left holding the bag. And they looked like scumbags for doing that to Jay. And then Nas came and played him like he was going to sign with him. And then end up signing with Jay in the end. And he stayed with Columbia. And then he did like another album with Columbia, then he left. But he had no intentions of signing with Murder Inc. It was on the table, and he was entertaining it just for the revenge purpose, the strike back at Jay. Are you reading the papers? Nas is crazy, lost his mind. Is he leaving Sony? The ink has got him signed. It's all figment of your imagination. I went to war with New York's hot radio station. See, it's all a figment of your imagination. He wasn't finna sign with Murder Inc. because Murder Inc. one didn't have enough money to sign him. Like he said, why would I sign with G Unit? They don't have no money to sign me. The type of money that Nas would get and generate, a record label that's like a substandard record label, it has to be signed with a major. Like, he was signed to Columbia. You know, it has to be a Capitol Records or Universal that can be able to afford an artist of Nas' stature. He's not some new artist coming in who needs developing and can be signed to a third-party record label. No, he has to get signed to the parent label. And this is what happened. It was clear as day when that war kicked off. That's how everybody was astray. And everybody's ego came and got involved. And as you could see, Ja Rule ended up letting DMX have it on the Blood in My Eye album, because he just went all off the reservoir. When X album sales dropped, he just started going off the reservoir because all the drugs and going to jail, and he's just exploding on Ja Rule. His Bloodline records tanked because he didn't have no clue on how to run a record label, and he just cared about getting high and doing stupid stuff and going to jail and messing his career up, and all the people that was around him is screwing up with it. So that's how everybody got played, basically set up. And that's the truth on how all this garbage got together in one big ball. And they basically resolved a lot of it. I mean, X still don't really deal with Jay. Jay and Ja Rule, you know, they don't really talk. I mean, it's no need to even be a beef. Now, I thought about not doing it, but you can't do these videos and not do a Murder Inc. versus G Unit. And the reason why I said I wasn't gonna do it is because it's too much street stuff that went on with that. If there's a lot of street stuff involved, like, y'all don't even know, there are so many people locked up in jail to this day behind that beef. Like, did dirt and behind bars because Murder Inc. and G Unit don't get along. It's people behind bars doing major time. So that's why you gotta be careful when making a video about such a gripping subject like that. So that's why I was like, man, can I do it? Let me see if I can do it, or how I'm gonna do it, and can I tell this without telling that? So that's been the hold up. When people just be like, hey, do this video, do a Tupac Suge. Streets are streets, dude. You know, when some people locked up behind some stuff, you don't talk about it. You omit it quickly. But I'm out.